Everyone hear me? I'll try to go fast because I know we're going on 8 o'clock, so I'll see if I can make Ben Shapiro look like a slow talker. There you go. There you go. Got the double mic, is that working? Yeah. All right, so central bank digital currencies, this is a global issue. It's a global problem. A lot of countries around the world have been putting these into effect since probably 2017, 2018. It uses the technology of a Bitcoin, which makes it a programmable currency, not just a digital currency. Like your credit card is a digital transaction, which in theory is just between, say, you and bonds, and it's mediated through someone like Visa, but it's not part of the government. So a central bank digital currency is issued by the Fed or any central bank. For us, that would be the Fed. The Fed now, you might have heard about that. That's not actually their central bank digital currency. It's kind of the precursor to it. This is all part of a larger movement called the Great Reset. I don't know if you guys have heard about World Economic Forum, United Nations, World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty. This is a global takeover of the Western world to break the West, bring it under central control, and then merge it with China. That is the overall plan. So if you're looking out at your southern border and you wonder why we have a record 6.3 million illegal aliens across the southern border, that's not incompetence, that's treason. If you're looking at the fentanyl crisis, fentanyl isn't a drug problem, fentanyl is a weapon of war brought to us by China, primarily across the southern border. And this is happening throughout the West, the immigration crisis that we have here. By the way, I don't care what color you are. The immigration crisis we have here is happening all over Europe. You bring in people who are fundamentally of a different culture. Not saying a bad culture, I'm saying a different culture, and they just don't mix. China does this for any country that they want to conquer in like Southeast Asia or Africa. They promote a lot of immigration and a lot of diversity. The United States is promoting a lot of immigration, a lot of diversity, and that's not an accident. So what I'm doing is going to build off of what Mr. Franks and Mr. Jordan were talking about earlier. How do you get people involved? One, yes, your churches. You are living through an attempted transition to a new world religion, an anti-Christian religion derived from Marx and Hegel. It's just rebranded Hermeticism. It's postmodernism. I'm not sure how much anybody cares about this. It's anti-Christian, and it's a global religion trying to be ushered in. This movement is very well funded. It's why you have huge amounts of money behind Black Lives Matter, social emotional learning in your schools, critical race theory in schools, and also Christian nationalism. Christian nationalism is an astroturf movement used to break the West. Don't fall for it. The whole movement here is an attempt to get to a digital ID and a cashless economy. That's just total digital surveillance. It's ruled by algorithm. It's a way to bypass your constitution. The Christian nationalist movement, I'm not saying anybody in this room, I'm saying the people who fund the movement are the same people who fund Black Lives Matter, are trying to get, if they can, the lefties to break the Constitution in your nation, and if that doesn't work, the people on the right to break the Constitution in the nation. They don't care who does it as long as it gets broken. So the way that you maintain religious liberty and freedom of any kind is to maintain the union and maintain your Constitution. To that end, how do you get more people involved? Yes, go to your churches. Churches do not get to be neutral. If you're part of a church, I'm sorry, you no longer get to be neutral. They are coming for you. And I don't just mean people make fun of Christians on MSNBC. I mean, they're actually coming for the churches to co-opt you and to turn you into a new world religion. The current Pope has his ties into Dom Helder Camara, Paulo Freire, and Klaus Schwab. If you're part of the Southern Baptist Convention, go read Resolution 9. It's straight up Marxism coming into the world's largest Protestant denomination. And by the way, I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church. And I'm standing here trying to support the Christians because your institutions are getting undermined. What I do is I try to get people talking about central bank digital currencies. This is a neutral subject. If you go out there on the street and you start talking to people about abortion and immigration and Black Lives Matter, people who already understand what's going on are already on your side. People who don't understand what's going on, you're going to alienate them. Central bank digital currencies for digital surveillance is a subject that people can wrap their heads around in 1 minute. A lot of people are already slightly familiar with the cashless economy, and you're able to open that door and get those conversations going. So this is on your table. This is my website I started. What I generally do is I print up these, I throw them in my wallet, and I spend cash everywhere I go, and I start a 30-minute conversation. The idea is just to keep throwing this in front of people, and as more and more people begin getting aware, being that I'm not religious and I'm kind of more of a libertarian, I'm like herding cats, and that's the libertarian side, and the non-religious side is like herding cats. So it's like cats herding other cats. I'm not going to get anywhere with this by myself, but the Lions Club, the Republican Party, the Conservative Women's Federation, you have an organizational structure that when people start paying attention, you have a way to outreach and keep those conversations going and get people more involved. The direction it looks like we're going are manufactured food and energy shortages. If you've watched the shutdown of refineries, nuclear power plants, Germany just shut off the last nuclear power plant. Belgium and the Netherlands are dialing back on their fertilizer production. This is just a way of starving and freezing people into submission. This isn't pro-environment. This isn't pro-humanity. There are issues out there that we can talk about with the environment. This is using those as a Trojan horse. There's issues we could talk about with race or education or sex or even gender or whatever you want to talk about. All those issues are being used as a Trojan horse to bring in a new world order, digitally controlled, break the West. And from the people I've talked to, a lot of people are aware something's up. A lot of people are aware something's up with COVID, or something's up with Ukraine, or something's up with Black Lives Matter, or Trump and the insurrection, but not a lot of people have put it all together. So what I'm trying to do here is get people to start a conversation with your neighbors. And when you spend cash, you're just kind of feeling people out. And some people are going to blow you off. Some people in 30 seconds have had a great conversation and they know what's going on, and maybe you can invite those people into your church, into your party, whatever. The idea is just to get people talking with their neighbors, getting prepared so that when the poop hits the fan in 2024, 2025, 2026, you already have a network of the churches are prepared, the food banks are prepared, the farmers are prepared, the farmers are already thinking about fertilizer shortages and energy shortages, and everybody's getting ready. And the more people that can hold out, the longer they can hold out, the more obvious it's going to be to everyone who's still thinking that the CDC or the FDA or the FBI has some form of legitimacy. So, I don't know. How about I'll take a few questions because I know everybody wants to go home in a minute and a half.
Any questions?
Great.
I have a whole bunch of these you guys can have too. I'll be here afterwards if you guys want to chat for a minute.
Hi, my
Yeah.
name's Arlene,
I got a
and
whole bunch.
I want to know what else we can do. Since you spoke last time, I've been posting your website on every conversation, pretty much, that is, especially if it's relevant on Facebook. I'm on Truth Social, that's about it, those two things. It's about all I have time for. I would like to know from either you, Chuck, or anybody else in the room, what do you think that you can do today to take one step? I'm 80 years old and I figure I've got to, I got to replace myself in terms of the way I think towards the freedom of the next generation of my grandkids. What can we do? What more can we do?
Well, every little step that you take is a movement in the positive direction. Everyone you reach out to, when you're talking about digital surveillance, you're priming every one of your neighbors for what's coming their way. Whether or not they see it now, they're going to be that much more in tune to it coming. And you're reaching out to people that you probably never reached out for. The average age in this room is not young. So this is a great way to go talk to the 20-year-olds who work at Starbucks and say, hey, look, we may be 80 years old and we're Christians and we hate fun, but there's a reason why you do the things that you do. The conservatives are trying to conserve the principles that make Western civilization work. It's actually the Enlightenment that's under attack right now, and somebody has to defend the Enlightenment itself. And once people realize this, that the Enlightenment is the thing that's under attack, that's what social justice and environmental justice and white supremacy, and this whole movement is a global movement, an anti-enlightenment, anti-science, anti-freedom movement. You guys can be there, hopefully, to kind of start sucking in the members to say, we know what's going on, we're getting prepared, we have the farmers on board, we have the sheriff on board, we have the food banks on board, and we actually understand what's going on. That's why we could talk to you about this a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and just keep building your ranks.
I have a question.
Speak slowly into my pocket.
Okay, Chuck, you did a great job. You do a great job every time you come. Is this a precursor to, I know a lot of us have heard the phrase, the mark of the beast?
So I'm not a Christian, so that is I don't want to get into anyone's religion. Unfortunately, the mark of the beast is your thumbprint, it is your palm print, it is your retinal scan, it's you.
The social security
So it's not like there's a barcode on your forehead or something like that. So without getting into anyone's religion, I have been reading the Bible. I would say that no one knows, not even the Son, only the Father. So I would prefer we just keep a nice, calm, quiet society where the kids get educated and the people get fed and the sick people get some health care. And hopefully, if you pay attention to the news, there's huge protests going on in France. The French don't like this. The Dutch don't like this. The Germans don't like this. The English don't like this. You got more and more people who are rising up, and it's kind of interesting to actually see a proletariat forming of the working class to tell the Marxists to go to heck. So it's that much of it is freaking glorious. And I'm hopeful that we can, by having a conversation about a digital Bill of Rights, which is something I push, we're talking about 1776 for the 21st century, which means we're talking about what does it mean to be a human? What does a functioning human society look like? Which means we're getting into, a lot of the Christian roots of our nation. What are civil rights? What kind of country do we want to live in? So on the handout I gave you guys, it talks about, it's just a black and white handout. It has the website at the top. It talks about all the conversations you can open up once you get somebody talking and thinking about digital currencies and digital surveillance. You get a whole range of things you can start bringing people in and talking about.
Thank you. Cool. Okay.
8:02, are we good?
Yep.
Okay.
Good.